Welcome back, warrior. So today we are actually waiting to do a meetup online meeting for work, and I am trying to figure out some of those things, and I figure I'll just get on and start reading while we're waiting. So because I like to be productive with my time, you know? Okay, so we're reading Mosiah chapter 7. And the book of Mosiah can be confusing because it jumps back and forth in different time periods, is what the Redheaded Hostess says. And so there's 4 things to remember in the different groups here, or in the different sections. It says 2 generations before King Mosiah's the second's life, there was a group of Nephites who had left Zarahemla with the hopes of regaining the land of their forefathers, the land of Nephi. A man named Zeniff led them. And then Zeniff's group had not been heard of since, and King Mosiah II was concerned with their whereabouts and well-being, so he sent a search party to find them. Mosiah 7-8 is the journey of this group finding those lost Nephites. And then Mosiah 9-24 is the story of the lost Nephites and what had happened when they left Zarahemla all of those years before. Look at how I already get that. How I already get that sleepiness. And I am not even that tired, but sorry, I'm trying to log in here now. And what's crazy is last night, our sweet little miss woke me up twice in the middle of the night. And then early this morning, she was trying to sleep on the floor by our bed, but then was crying because it wasn't what she was hoping, or something. And of course, anyway, so I mean, I am working on some, like, what is it? Broken up sleep? What's that called? When it's not uninterrupted, but it's like super interrupted sleep. So anyway, she's in that stage where she wants to snuggle all the time. And if she doesn't see mom there snuggling, then it's hard for her to sleep. So it's so sweet, but at the same time, I'm like really tired. Okay, so here we go. So Mosiah chapter 7. While we're waiting, because I'd rather do this, honestly. Okay, Ammon finds the land of Lehi Nephi, where Limhi is king. Limhi's people are in bondage to the Lamanites. Limhi recounts their history. A prophet, Abinadi, had testified that Christ is the God and Father of all things. Those who sow filthiness reap the whirlwind, and those who put their trust in the Lord shall be delivered. And now, okay, so there we go. And here we go. And now it came to pass that after King Mosiah had had continual peace for the space of 3 years, he was desirous to know concerning the people who went up to dwell in the land of Lehi Nephi, or in the city of Lehi Nephi, for his people had heard nothing from them from the time they left the land of Zarahemla. Therefore they wearied him with their teasings, or constant requests. Okay, so this is something that I've struggled with too. I don't understand, like, so-and-so, they left and they came here and then they went there, and it was one of those, like, I don't get it. And so I was like, how am I supposed to make sense of this? And I'll be honest, I still don't really even understand. Like, yes, there were people that left. So maybe if we go through it, it'll help us understand. And actually, this is great. They have, the Reddit hostess has this little chart. Maybe you could screenshot it or something to help you. But it says, it is now about 121 BC, and Zarahemla now has its third Nephite king, King Mosiah II. So these were the kings. Okay, first it was King Mosiah the first, and during this time, a man named Zeniff led a group of Nephites back to the land of Nephi. Okay, then there was King Benjamin, and then King Mosiah II. Now, remember, King Mosiah II is like 16. Okay, and then those were the Nephite kings of Zarahemla. I don't even understand. Okay. But during this time, a man named Zeniff led a group of Nephites back to the land of Nephi. Okay. If you totally get this and you can explain it to me in like first grade level, that would be fantastic. Okay, and then there says King Mosiah the First, the grandfather of King Mosiah the Second. Okay, I'm getting it. Was the Nephite that was guided by the Lord to the land of Zarahemla. Okay, and he led a group of Nephites there after arriving to Zarahemla. A group of Nephites there. After arriving to Zarahemla, some of the Nephites, those who believed the land of Nephi was the land of their inheritance, which is found back in Omni 1, 27-30, wanted to return. So it'd be like, oh, we were there and then we don't want to go to Zarahemla, so we want to go back. Okay, I can understand that. Then a man named Zeniff then led them out of Zarahemla but back to the land of Nephi. Okay, I'm getting it slowly. Okay, so we have Mosiah the First leads a group of Nephites out of the land of Nephi to Zarahemla. And then Zeniff leads a group back to the land of Nephi. Okay, so people who didn't really want to be in the land of Zarahemla, probably. Okay, and then here in verse 1, it has now been 60 years. Wow. Since Zeniff led the group away and the Nephites led the group away, and the Nephites in Zarahemla were constantly asking King Mosiah II to find out what had happened to these Nephites who had left years before. Okay, and so these would have been their brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles. Led the group away, and the Nephites in Zarahemla were constantly asking King Mosiah II to find out. Oh yeah, so they kept bugging the king, like, what happened to the Nephites who left 60 years ago to go back to the land of Nephi after we came to Zarahemla? Okay, it's so far making sense. I'm going really slow. These would have been their brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, or friends. So this is Omni 130. So naturally, they would want to know what had happened to them. And if it was 60 years, I'm guessing you're getting old and you start, feeling concerned about these people that you knew and that you loved, and it makes sense that as you get older, you almost see what's more important. At least that's what I've found. As I get older, I see what's more important. And so anyway, that's something. Okay, so then we'll read verse 2-4. And it came to pass that King Mosiah granted that 16 of their strong men might go up to the land of Lehi Nephi to inquire concerning their brethren. Okay, but now I'm confused. Why are we going to Lehi Nephi? Is this a different place? I'm so confused. Okay, and it came to pass that on the morrow they started to go up, having with them one Ammon. Okay, he being a strong and mighty man and a descendant of Zarahemla, and he was also their leader. Okay, so we have Ammon with 15 other people, okay, going to the land of Lehi Nephi. Even though I don't know why they're going there, I thought they were going back to the land of Nephi. So confused. Okay, and now they knew not the course they should travel in the wilderness to go up to the land of Lehi Nephi. It makes sense because I was like 60 years ago and nobody came back. Therefore, they wandered many days in the wilderness, even 40 days did they wander. Okay, so that's like a long time to wander around the wilderness. Okay, and then it says, King Mosiah then approved 16 strong men to go to the land of Lehi Nephi to find out what happened to these Nephites. A man named Ammon was their leader. Note, the land of Nephi is also called the land of Lehi Nephi. There it is. I did not note this. I did not know this. And so I'm glad that they're having me note this. How would I have known that? I don't know. There could have been like a footnote or something. Okay. And then it says, here are a few interesting facts or things to consider. Ammon was not a Nephite, but was a descendant of Zarahemla. These strong men would need to be able to withstand the physical journey to deal with the possible threat of coming upon the Lamanites and be able to come to the aid of whatsoever state they find the lost Nephites in, if they are to find them. Oh, that would be crazy to find lost Nephites 60 years later. Like, wouldn't you have wanted to send a rescue party sooner? Anyway. And then I guess, let's see, of whatever state they were, if they are to find them. These 16 men would have never been to the land of Nephi before, so this would have been an unfamiliar journey, right? And then when these 16 men wandered for 40 days in the wilderness, see verse 4, they did not give up and turn back, but instead stayed true to their mission. We find out later in verse 16 that they had suffered many things. They had suffered hunger, thirst, and fatigue, but because they endured the pressed forward, they ended up discovering and rescuing an entire group of people. What? Okay. Here we go. Verse 5 to 13. 5 to 13. I think 5 to 13, and then we'll pause. And when they had wandered for 40 days, they came to a hill which is north of the land of Shilom, and there they pitched their tents. And Ammon took 3 of his brethren, and their names were Amaleki. Oh, by the way, remember when I was saying Amaleki? Yeah, it's Amaleki. Amaleki. Yep, that's fine. Amaleki, Helam, and Hem. I'm at peace with it now that I messed up way back in the day. And they went down into the land of Nephi. So 4 of the 16 of them, right? So now we only have 12 left behind. And behold, they met the king of the people who were in the land of Nephi and in the land of Shilom. And they were surrounded by the king's guard and were taken and were bound and were committed to prison. Okay, so we have 4 men in prison right now. And it came to pass when they had been in prison 2 days, they were again brought before the king, and their bands were loosed. And they stood before the king and were permitted, or rather commanded, that they should answer the questions which he should ask them. And he said unto them, Behold, I am Limhi, the son of Noah, who was the son of... Okay, this is where it gets crazy. Okay, so he says, Behold, I am Limhi, the son of Noah. Okay, so this is the king talking. Who was the son of Zeniph. Okay, so Limhi is Zeniph's grandson. And remember, Zeniph was the one who took the people back to the land of Nephi, who came up out of the land of Zarahemla to inherit this land, which was the land of their fathers, who was made a king by the voice of the people. Okay, so Zeniph was made king, then his grandson, or his son Noah, and then Limhi is his grandson. Okay. And now I desire to know the cause whereby ye were so bold as to come near the walls of the city, when I myself was with my guards without the gate. And now for this cause have I suffered that ye should be preserved, that I might inquire of you, or else I should have caused that my guards should have put you to death. Ye are permitted to speak. Okay, so, and now when Ammon saw that he was permitted to speak, he went forth and bowed himself before the king. And rising again, he said, O king, I am very thankful before God this day that I am yet alive and permitted to speak, right? Because crazy, could have died right there. And I will endeavor to speak with boldness. And says, with boldness. Okay. For I am assured that if ye had known me, ye would not have suffered that I should have warned these bands. For I am Ammon, and I am a descendant of Zarahemla, and have come up out of the land of Zarahemla to inquire concerning our brethren, whom Zeniph brought up out of that land. Okay. Is it making sense to you? It's like clicking. I don't know how many times I've read the Book of Mormon. I can't even tell you. It's like at least 20 times. And I never got this. Never got this. And today it is making sense. Okay. But if you wanted me to explain it, I probably wouldn't be able to explain it. It's making sense as I read it for me now. Okay. And now, verse 14, and now it came to pass that after Limhi had heard the words of Ammon, he was exceedingly glad and said, Now I know of a surety that my brethren who were in the land of Zarahemla are yet alive. Okay, so Limhi was also concerned about the people that Zeniph left, that his grandpa left. He didn't know what happened to them. And so we have both Limhi excited that the people of Zarahemla are still alive, and then we have Ammon who's excited about the people that Zeniff brought over that are still alive. So this is good news. Okay, and now I know of a surety that my brethren who were in the land of Zarahemla are yet alive, and now I will rejoice, right? And on the morrow I will cause that my people shall rejoice also, right? Because of course, I'm guessing if the people of Zarahemla were asking King Mosiah II about those people who left to go to the land of Nephi like 60 years ago, then probably those people who left 60 years ago are now also concerned about those people who stayed in Zarahemla 60 years ago. So this is good. Okay. For behold, we are in bondage. For behold, we are in bondage to the Lamanites and are taxed with a tax which is grievous to be borne. And now, behold, our brethren will deliver us out of our bondage or out of the hands of the Lamanites, and we will be their slaves. For it is better that we be slaves to the Nephites than to pay tribute to the king of the Lamanites. Oh, snap. Okay, so it looks like what's happening here is... Oh, whoops, I went too far. I went to 15. But it seems like the people of Zeniff left, but then then Zeniff became king, but then somehow they became in bondage to the Lamanites. Okay. So here we go. Verse 5 to 13. They finally arrived at the right place, and Ammon and 3 others went into the land of Nephi, where they were arrested after 2 days. Imagine how long that must have felt. They were, right? They were brought before King Limhi, who was the grandson of King Zeniff. Okay, we understood that. So just as Zarahemla was on their third Nephi king, so were these Nephites on their third king. Okay, Ammon was permitted to speak, and he was able to explain who he was. It also makes sense that he was willing to fight or kill Ammon and his 3 friends because of how they were under the Lamanite bondage. So they were always ready on their guard. So they had to be always ready on their guard, right? Ammon was permitted to speak, and he was able to explain who he was. Ammon explained that he was there to inquire concerning his brethren whom Zeniff brought up out of that land, which was the mission he was sent forth to do. And what Ammon did not yet know was that he was there to deliver these Nephites. He was on a rescue mission. Oh, I love that he was on a rescue mission. That's so cute. Okay, so we have Nephite kings of the land was King Zeniff, and he was the one that left the land of Zarahemla. I hope this is making sense to you now, because it is now making sense to me a little bit more. And then we have King Noah right after that, and then King Limhi. Okay. Okay. King Limhi had thought that Zarahemla had been destroyed. In Mosiah 21, 25 to 26, we learn. Okay, now we're skipping ahead. We are in Mosiah chapter 7. Can we count? And okay, so then it says, now King Limhi had sent, but we're reading in Mosiah 21. So it is confusing because they skip around. So now King Limhi had sent previous to the coming of Ammon a small number of men in search of the land of Zarahemla. Oh, no wonder they were wondering. But they could not find it, and they were lost in the wilderness. Nevertheless, they did find a land which had been peopled, yea, a land which was covered with dry bones, a land which had been peopled and which had been destroyed. And they, having supposed it to be the land of Zarahemla, returned to the land of Nephi, having arrived in the borders of the land not many days before the coming of Ammon. Oh, so that is what happened. So the people of Zeniff / Limhi sent people to find the land of Zarahemla, but they couldn't find it, but they found bones, and they thought that was the land of Zarahemla, the people from the land of Zarahemla. Okay, so Limhi's men had found the old Jaredite land. That was the old Jaredite land, and thought that it was the land of Zarahemla. The Lord could have guided Limhi's men to Zarahemla, but instead they found the destroyed Jaredite land and returned with the record they found among the destruction. Later, that record will be added into the plates that Moroni buried and later led Joseph Smith to. We now know that record as the Book of Ether. So I'm getting more confused as this. I thought it was good. And today we have that record in the Book of Mormon. Today we can today we can each read that record because a group of men searching for deliverance were guided to another place instead. This didn't mean that Limhi's people would not be delivered. It was just in a different way than expected. This is a good example of the scripture, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. And that's Isaiah 55:8. Love that. Okay, my meeting's about to start, so I'm going to pause here and we will resume afterwards. This is so exciting. But sometimes I hate breaking up scripture like that, because you get in that groove and you're going. But I also didn't want to not read, because seek ye first the kingdom of God, and then all these things shall be added unto you. So I always want to seek first the kingdom of God. However, today, because I got no sleep and kid was sick, so I had to take him to school late. So we had a sick kid a couple days ago, and he stayed home 2 days. And today I was like, okay, you're feeling great. Let's go to school. So anyway, his allergies really act up, and it's like one of those things that he just sounds like he has the worst cold, but he doesn't, but you know how it is. And so we're like, let's make sure he's safe to be around, or people will feel safe to be around him. And we'll do, 2 days at home, and then sleep in long, third day, send him back to school. So anyway, that kind of throws off your schedule sometimes when you're working with your family and things come up. But that is why I love so much working from home. And I don't know, I just love it. It's just really flexible for where I'm at right now in this season of my life. So anyways, we're going to pause. Okay, so we are back, and since we stopped at verse 15 or so, I think that's where I stopped. Yes. I wanted to read the Read It, Live It because there's actually 2 Read It, Live It's for chapter 7. So since we're here, I figured we would take this opportunity to do that. Okay, it says, Ammon and his 3 friends are surrounded, taken to prison, and threatened with death, all because of a misunderstanding, period. Ammon could be mad, but he responds with kindness. He assumes the best about the situation. What's the invitation here is respond with kindness. Oh, I love that so much, because sometimes it's true. We can think the worst about every situation, especially with betrayal trauma. It's like so easy to fall into the torture trap and to fall into the deception that Satan is trying to tell us about our husbands and what they're doing, and making us really anxious about that, and having us do worry, over worry and ruminating and those kind of things on all the things that could happen. But I think that as I've gone through and have had conversations with my husband and all these things, just like being able to explain what I'm feeling because of an action that my spouse has done, I think it helps him understand, that's not what my intent was. And I think just always responding with kindness, thinking the best of somebody else, something that Satan tries to do and continues to try to do, is to taint my memories, my core memories with him, with my husband and my family, and makes me think at every time, all the pictures, all the pictures that I was going through, and just every memory, you're just what? I didn't know this person. And the adversary is just oh, he was doing that during this time and this time and this time and this time and this, and he just fills you with all this just yuck and just torture, right? It's just torture. You literally can't understand why you feel like this, right? And I found that it's because Satan is just trying to taint every memory. It's kind of like in the movie, now I can't remember the movie's name, with joy and sadness and anger. Oh, Inside Out. Also, Inside Out 2 is coming out. I'm excited to see what the next one is. But anyway, and Joy is trying to hold on to all the core memories, you know, and we do need to preserve those core memories. And it's okay to see the whole big picture of them, but you don't want them to be black. You don't want them to be taken by Satan and made black and forget it. And then you have nothing. Then you have no relationship with your husband. Yes, it's true. We don't know our husbands as well as we thought we did, right? Okay, that's a valid point. But at the same time, do our husbands know us as well as they thought they knew us? No, I mean, my husband brings me chocolate on a regular basis, but I need it every day. No, but for excuse me, I forgot my water and I don't know where I put it. Anyway, so like even the oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. She's the best. She's just so caring and like always finding a way to serve. So I'm just saying, like, just because our spouses have chosen and have been tricked into doing this thing, then like it is going to make us go crazy because of how the adversary is torturing us. However, we don't have to believe everything the adversary is feeding us, if that makes sense. I'm trying to like word it in a way that makes sense. It makes sense in my mind, but I don't know if I can word it correctly. And so sometimes it is better to not allow Satan to taint those memories and to shield them. Basically, like put them in your purse, in your pocket, in your heart, you know, lock them away. Oh, you're the best, Laura. Thank you. So I guess what I'm saying is look for the positive in those situations. Clearly, at least when you were taking the picture, okay, even though he might have done something before or after the picture, in that moment of the photograph or video, he was there. He was present. He wanted to be with the family. Let's just think the best of people, you know, like, and I know that my husband's not trying to sabotage our marriage, and I know it's Satan doing that, and it's not that he really wants to or anything, but it's that he's being tricked to, and he has not been taught certain things that help him deal with stress. And you know, yes, that was like 5 years ago, and so he has a lot more tools now because of the therapy and the classes and the things he's learned, and you know what I mean, like, but it takes time. So we have to be patient with those that we love and who are going through their addiction, just like they need to be patient with us as we strive to preserve those memories and not allow Satan to taint them and to take them from us, right? Like literally, if he were to take those memories from me, like, or if I would allow him to do that, I would just become really bitter because I would be angry at every memory. And that's not the kind of person that I want to be. I don't want to be bitter. I don't want to have that anger toward my husband or toward those memories. And I really cherish those memories. And so anyway, like, maybe that makes sense. And maybe it's not really even related to Ammon and Limhi, but I think it's a good opportunity to share that. You got Zuma? Good job. Oh, you can't. Oh, I think Zuma's actually on your bed. Yeah, let's go get him. Okay, so we'll just keep going now. So we're on verse 16. And now, and see how it turned out? Like, it turned out better. Because he was saying positive and assuming the best. If Ammon came in like, how dare you lock me up like this? You know, the attitude of the king would have been like so different. Anyway, so there you go. When you are able to control your emotions, then you can actually be received with kindness. And I have found that so much with my husband as well. When I control my anger and don't like lash it out on him, he's able to make good, controlled, he's able to communicate with me in a way that I can understand and that I can, that we can work it out, you know? So anyway, that's the goal, right? See the positive, look for the good. What was it that it said? Respond with kindness. Respond with kindness. Okay. Now King Limhi commanded his guards that they should no more bind Ammon nor his brethren, but caused that they should go to the hill which was north of Shiloh, and bring their brethren into the city, that thereby they might eat and drink and rest themselves from the labors of their journey. And for they had suffered many things. They had suffered hunger, thirst, and fatigue. And now it came to pass on the morrow that King Limhi sent a proclamation among all his people, that thereby they might gather themselves together to the temple to hear the words which he should speak unto them. And it came to pass that when they had gathered themselves together, that he spoke unto them in this wise, saying, okay, first of all, I love that they gather to the temple. And maybe that is why they wanted to go back. I love the temple so much, and the strength that I get there. If I had to move somewhere else that didn't have a temple, I wouldn't last very long there either. I would probably want to go back to where they had the temple. And so it makes sense to me that the people, after they got to Zarahemla, they wanted to go back to the land of Nephi where the temple was. And that's what I would have wanted. So I can kind of relate to those peeps, right? And even to be in bondage to the Lamanites, just so you could be in the presence of a temple. The things that we are willing to do just so that we can go to the temple is crazy, right? Like, it's awesome. But also, like, the Lord was able to strengthen them to be in that bondage because of the temple. Like, anyway, like, I just love the temple, actually. And I have an interview with one of the temple presidency peeps this coming week so that I can work at the temple. I'm so excited. So this will be super fun. It's going to be my new thing, going to being at the temple for that long. Because remember, I did a 30-day temple challenge turned into 60-day temple challenge because it was so good. And then I started going to the temple just on a semi-regular basis, like multiple times a week, like 3 times a week. And then it's kind of phased out a little bit more now because I was trying to work out with my son, and he was doing soccer. And anyway, yeah, like now the temple shift is like a 5-hour shift. And so now I'm like, whoa, that's gonna be back when I was going to the temple almost every day. That's how much time I would spend in the temple, an hour a day, or maybe 30 to 45 minutes per day. So now it's gonna be all lumped into one sum. So that'll be fun, but also I'm kind of scared because I get so sleepy. So we'll see how awake I can be at the temple. You can use it, sure. I know, you just gotta pull it little by little. Does it work? Is it working? No, it's coming slow but surely. Slowly but surely. Okay, so he says, verse 18, O my people, lift up your heads and be comforted, for behold, the time is at hand, or is not far distant. Oh, you got it. I knew you could do it. When, huh? Oh, see, you got it. You're getting it. Do you need my help? Do you need a little help? Okay. Okay, so let's see what Flora here. She's setting it up. She's setting up her class. Is this your class?
Unicorn class. It's a bunny class.
It's a bunny class?
And there's puppies right here.
Oh, they're so cute.
And OG wanted to sit right here.
Oh, really?
That's
a good seat. It's pink.
Yeah. And I wanted it.
Awesome. Thank you for showing me. Looks really good.
And there's Strawberry over there. This is on her wheelchair.
Yes.
And the horse.
And the horse. So cute, right? Okay, so it says, Oh, you my people, lift up your heads and be comforted, for behold, the time is at hand, or is not far distant, when we shall no longer be in subjection to our enemies, notwithstanding our many strugglings, which have been in vain, yet I trust there remaineth an effectual struggle to be made. So an effectual struggle. I remember talking about this with one of my friends a while back. Her mom had set up I call it Sister Scriptorian class, and it was like once a week, and it was the best, and we met with friends at her house, and we talked about scriptures, and this was one of the scriptures that we kind of expounded upon and talked about, like, effectual, meaning like not just a struggle, but effectual struggle means like a struggle that does something for you, right? So like a struggle that will produce an effect. That's why it's called effectual. And I was like, oh, it was like the best insight I had ever learned. So that was fun. I remember that class so fondly, and I wish we could do it again. Anyway, so he said, yet I trust there remaineth an effectual struggle to be made. So he could see that there was still going to be a struggle, but it was going to be worth it, right? Therefore, he said, lift up your heads and rejoice and put your trust in God, in that God who was the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and also that God who brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt and caused that they should walk through the Red Sea on dry ground and fed them with manna, that they might not perish in the wilderness, and many more things did he do for them. Okay, so King Limhi then has Ammon and his brethren get the 12 others who had waited on the hill, which was north of Shiloh. And then King Limhi sends a proclamation to his people for them to gather to the temple the next day. In verse 16, we can get a glimpse of how hard of a journey it was on Ammon and their other strong men to find these lost Nephites. Wouldn't their journey be an interesting story to know more about? When Limhi speaks of his people, he gives them a message of hope. He begins by telling them to lift up their heads and be comforted, and reminds them that their God is a God who can deliver his children. Limhi then tells them that the time is at hand, or is not far distant, when we shall no longer be in subjection to our enemies. And then he tells them that an effectual struggle remains. This means that there will still be a struggle, but it will produce an effect or result that they want. They will not just be able to snap their fingers and be delivered, kind of like those social media posts where you're like, boop, and then it, right? Like, we just love that. I love those videos. Like, I could watch those all day long, where they're like, boom and boom. But it's not like that in real life, right? Is that why we like it so much? Because we wish that life really did happen that way. So yeah, they will not just be able to snap their fingers and be delivered, but they will have to pack up, escape, and travel a far distance. So suffering and hardship will yet be a part of the deliverance, but worth the promise and freedom that awaits them. Okay, so something that I did want to say, though, like, you were in Zarahemla, and then you were like, let me go back to the temple place, right, where they have the temple. And yes, you are now going against what the prophet has said, to go to a different land, right? To go to Zarahemla, and instead you want to go back to where you were. Sometimes I think in life, especially with betrayal trauma, like our husbands, they think that as soon as they disclose or we discover what has happened, that like in just like a couple days, everything will go back to normal. Like we want to go back to normal, right? Let's go back to when everything was fine and nobody knew anything, and nobody knew that Satan was attacking our family through our husbands. And let's go back to the time when we were just oblivious. Let's go back to the time when we were being gaslit. Let's go back to the time when it seemed like everything was okay, right? But what happened when they went back is that they got into that Lamanite bondage and that hardship, instead of moving forward and looking forward to things that could happen. Like they could have built a new temple. They could have done new things. And this was their new promised place. And so sometimes we do need to leave the past behind us and realize we're not going to go back there. We don't want to go back there. It feels like we want to go back there. Sometimes Satan makes us think like it was really good back then when we didn't know what was going on. But that's not right, because now we can see the veil of our eyes has been lifted. We see Satan for who he is. He's attacking our family. We can't just stand by. Yes, it's harder now because we have to work harder to stay in a healthy place, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, right? And with self-care and all these things. Like I feel like sometimes I'm like, I think today all I did was self-care. Oh, awesome. So cute. Here, I'll show you. Isn't he the best? He's so nice. He's so nice to play. And so, but we just got to realize, like, hey, we don't want to stay in the past. We want the new future. We want to rebuild a new house, and we want to do these things. And, you know, fun fact, after we moved and came into this house from our old house, I can't tell you how healing it was to be in a new home. I think, like, even after, like, he had tried so hard, it just still wasn't the same anymore. That dream home that I had was no longer what it was to me. And I was so sad to lose it, to sell it, because of the fact that, like, we had so many great memories, and we actually remodeled it, and it looked so amazing. And we made the yard look fantastic and everything. And we rented it out for a while, and then we sold it. But, like, it was so healing to be in a new home. It didn't even have to be new build, right? It was new to us. And also, like, the two homes that we had before this one was where we built it, and this one's the only one we haven't built. So it's kind of funny that way. But eventually we'll get there. We'll build another home. And but the Lord knew. We acted so quickly on this house without even, like, really looking at it. Pretty sure we ran through it and we were done. But it was something that the Lord knew that we needed for our lives to be able to move forward. And maybe that's something you need. Maybe you were like, maybe that is something that you need to do. And maybe you want to consider that. Because sometimes, like, I'm reading this book, The Body Keeps the Score. Well, what about your home? Does it keep the score, right? Like, I mean, I know that it's all in our head, right? And we could totally, but sometimes getting out of that place, moving yourself to a new place really helps. And so I think if we want to go back, like the way that those people went back to the land of Nephi, it was great because they wanted to go see the temple, I'm sure, and be there and stuff. But then that wasn't where they were meant to be. They were still trying to hold on to their past, right? But then they became in bondage to the Lamanites, and that's not what they wanted, right? And so now I love that those people from the land of Zarahemla are coming and rescue them. And that's what's going to happen to us. Like, people are going to want to find us, and those who love us want us to move out of the darkness, want us to move forward, want us to do better things than be stuck in the past. And I'll tell you that just owning your story and moving past like all the things that you thought back in the day, you know, is going to be so healing for you that you will be able to catapult your healing into the future, and it'll be so much better for you there. And then you're going to look back, just as I look back, and think, how did I even think that was going to still work? How did I even think I was going to want that? I don't want that. Where we were was not very healthy, but I didn't see that until my eyes were opened. So that effectual struggle, and they're now going to have an effectual struggle because of the fact that they chose to go back. And so now they have to come all the way, you know. And so Elder Ulysses Suarez likened the deliverance of Limhi's people to looking forward with faith in the day in which we live. He said, brothers and sisters, please consider the importance of the invitation King Limhi gave to his people and its relevance to us. He said, lift up your heads and rejoice and put your trust in God. With these words, Limhi invited his people to look to the future through the eyes of faith, to replace their fears with the optimism of hope born of faith, and to not waver in placing their trust in God, regardless of circumstance. Mortal life is a period of testing where we will be proven to see if we will do all things that the Lord our God shall command us. This will require unwavering faith in Christ, even in times of great difficulty. It will require that we press forward with steadfastness, faith in Christ, being led by the Spirit, and trusting that God will provide for our needs. End quote. Well, Elder Suarez, April 2017 General Conference. I love that so much. A couple things that stood out to me when I was reading that. If we can see ourselves in the future and act as if we are in that future tense, if you will, then we can make goals for ourselves now, looking to the future, and they will pull us, those things will pull us into the future and will help us become that person that we're hoping to become. But if we continue to hold on to the past, okay, then our present is not ever going to be able to move forward from it. It's always just going to come with us, and we won't be able to become that person that we want to become because we have that extra stuff that we're holding on to. And so we need to move forward and let go of those things that are holding us back so that we can shoot forward into the future to become that person that we need to become, because we are worthy of everything. We're worthy of everything the Lord has for us. And I love that he says that this is a period of testing where we will be proven. Okay, something that I've learned is that the Lord knows me and knows who I am. So why do I have to prove anything to him? Well, we don't. We don't have to prove anything to him. We have to prove to ourselves that we love God, that we trust God. It is something that we need to do for ourselves, to prove to ourselves that we chose God and we will continue to choose God because we love him. And because when we go to see him later, we will know who we are, like fully. And we will be the ones that are going to be judging ourselves based on what we've done. And so it is a test to see if we can do like PR ourselves and, you know, excel beyond our own beliefs with the Lord, because he's going to help us get there, and then become that person that we know we can become and that he already knew that we were going to become. Does that make sense? I don't even know. I hope. Okay, verse 20. Okay, so we have till verse 33. So verse 20. And again, that same God has brought our fathers out of the land of Jerusalem. Sorry, I was checking to make sure that the thing was recording. And has kept and preserved his people even until now. And behold, it is because of our iniquities and abominations that he has brought us into bondage. And ye are all witnesses this day that Zeniff, who was made king over this people, he being overzealous to inherit the land of his fathers, therefore being deceived by the cunning and craftiness of King Laman, who having entered into a treaty with King Zeniff, and having yielded up into his hands the possessions of a part of the land, or even the city of Lehi Nephi, and the city of Shilom, and the land round about, and all this he, King Laman, did for the sole purpose of bringing this people, the Nephites, into subjection or into bondage. And behold, we at this time do pay tribute to the king of the Lamanites, to the amount of 1/2 of our corn, and barley, and even all our grain, and every kind of 1/2 of increase of our flocks and our herds, and even 1/2 of all we possess, to the king of the Lamanites, or even possess the king of the Lamanites doth exact of us or our lives. So they were not in a great position, but he says here that King Laman basically, deceived Zeniff, and that's how they got trapped into this situation. And now, is it not? Wait, hold on. Then so the commentary, King Limhi demonstrates a quality of great leader here. He does not pacify his people, but he tells them exactly why they are currently in bondage, because of our iniquities and abominations. We will learn more details of what these people had done in a few chapters. But here Limhi gives a very brief history and explains that his grandfather Zeniff had been overzealous and made an agreement with the king of the Lamanites. Ooh, kind of a headache. That ultimately caused these Nephites to be forced to pay a heavy tribute to the Lamanites. The movie A Bug's Life can help your children understand how a heavy tribute can burden a people. Oh yeah, I remember that, Bug's Life. Okay, verse 23. And now is not this grievous to be born? Oh man, it's like right there. And is not this our affliction great? Now behold, how great reason we have to mourn. Yea, I say unto you, great are the reasons which we have to mourn. For behold, how many of our brethren have been slain, and their blood has been spilt in vain, and all because of iniquity. Always, right? For if this people had not fallen into transgression, the Lord would not have suffered that this great, hole right there, that this great evil should come upon them. But, it looks like I'm getting a hole right there too. But behold, they would not hearken unto his words, but there arose contentions among them, even so much that they did shed blood among themselves. Oh, great. So now they're shedding blood among themselves. And a prophet of the Lord have they slain, who is Abinadi, yea, a chosen man of God, who told them of their wickedness and abominations, and prophesied of many things which are to come, yea, even the coming of Christ. You don't have a trash in your kitchen? Huh, I know, me neither. We should probably put a trash out here somewhere. Verse 27 and 28, here we go. And because he said unto them, Christ was the God, the Father of all things, and said that he should take upon him the image of man, and it should be the image after which man was created in the beginning. Or in other words, he said that man was created after the image of God, and that God should come down among the children of men, and take upon him flesh and blood, and go forth upon the face of the earth. And now because he said this, they did put him to death. And many more things did they do, which brought down the wrath of God upon them. Therefore, who wondereth that they are in bondage, and that they are smitten with sore afflictions? She's like, raise your. I still wonder about that. Okay, Limhi continues to open the eyes of his people. Also, did you know that these peeps know how to do like run-on sentences? Like amazing. Okay, Limhi continues to open the eyes of his people and explains why they are in this bondage. He speaks of a prophet that had been among them, whom they had killed. We learn later in Mosiah more about this story, and that this prophet was Abinadi, which is so sad. Limhi explains why this prophet had been killed, and it was because he taught that Christ would come, take upon himself a body, and live upon the earth. This quote describes perfectly the doctrine taught in verse 27. Oh, and we're bringing these people to go live in Zarahemla? Sheesh. I guess you gotta love your neighbors, all of them. Let's see. The Elder George Q. Morris, October 1956 General Conference, says the prophets said the Savior would come and take upon himself a tabernacle of flesh, and so he came in his spirit body and took from the earth the elements needed to obtain a tabernacle of flesh and blood. We know how he did that. We have done the same thing, and we came here in the same form as he did. As his spiritual body clothed itself in the tabernacle of flesh and bone, so has ours. End quote. Okay, 29 to 33. Here we go. The home stretch. For behold, the Lord hath said, I will not succor my people in the day of their transgression, but I will hedge up their ways, that they prosper not, and their doings shall be as a stumbling block before them. And again he saith, if my people shall sow filthiness, they shall reap the chaff thereof, and the whirlwind and the effect thereof is poison. And again he saith, if my people shall sow filthiness, they shall reap the east wind, which bringeth immediate destruction. And now, the east wind bringeth immediate destruction. It's good to know. And now behold, I don't like wind at all. So anytime there's wind, it's like immediate destruction for me. And now behold, like soccer games and things, yeah, it's impossible. Okay, and now behold, the promise of the Lord is fulfilled, and ye are smitten and afflicted. Verse 33. Sorry, my shoes are not the right ones for walking, but we're about to leave. So, okay, but if we will turn to the Lord with full purpose of heart, and put your trust in him, and serve him with all diligence of mind, if ye do this, he will, according to his own will and pleasure, deliver you out of bondage. Okay, this is the last of it right here. The commentary from Redheadosis. I really do love the Redheadosis. Limhi knows, and I totally think you need to, subscribe to their $10 per month study guides for children, youth, but specifically for adults. I realize that I need to make sure that I'm doing my stuff more than me trying to micromanage my kids' spirituality. I need to make sure that I'm doing my part with my own self. Because if I don't know the stuff, then my kids won't even know the passion that I have. And how will that translate? It just is like, do what I say, not what I do. So that's not. So I love to do it myself first. And then I try to have them do it too. But you know what I mean? It's like one of those things. Okay, so parenting is hard. And it's my first time, right? Okay, verse 29 to 33. Limhi knows the ways of the Lord. He knows why they have lost the Lord's favor. He knows that they are reaping the consequences of their decisions of those who had come before them. His father had his father been a righteous man and king, the life of these Nephites could have been different. The wickedness of King Noah and others were still impacting these Nephites. Therefore, King Limhi is the king these Nephites need right now, and he is preparing them to choose deliverance over bondage. To do so, they need to see the error and the errors of their fathers. Okay, I love so much that Limhi takes ownership of the situation that they're in, and that is so key when we have those addictions. And my husband has been able to take ownership for making those bad choices that have caused so much pain and that have led him to where he was. And I really appreciate when he can take ownership, and the way that he shared it with our family as well was really powerful. Like, he was taking it all on, like, and I mean, yes, that's how it should be, right? Like, I didn't make him do anything. So but it just makes it so much better for us when our spouses can take ownership for that stuff. But also, like, they're not the only ones that can take ownership for stuff. We can take ownership too. And I think that we can take ownership for our actions after their disclosure or discovery, because our actions will not be in line with who we want to become, I promise. And it does take work for us to get us to that place where we are back to controlling our emotions, even more so now than we were before, and that we are more aware of how we react to things instead of acting, right? And so I love that Limhi could acknowledge the fact that they had made bad choices and that their forefathers had made bad choices and his grandpa made bad choices. And now, you know, that's the first step, is acknowledging that you made bad choices, right? Like, and if your husband can't even acknowledge that he's making bad choices, or that he made bad choices, then it will impact our trauma and it will not help the relationship. You can still heal without him acknowledging his errors of his ways, but you may not get there together, and you might just be moving by yourself. And I did have to tell my husband, like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm going to be working on my healing, and I'm going to get closer to the Lord in the ways that I know how. And I'd really love for us to, you know, be working together so that we can end up together. But if I'm over here, okay, I'm like going this way and you're going this way, I don't see how we're going to come back. So, you know, it's your choice. And so, yeah, like, he had to step it up. And not every husband's going to respond positively to that kind of honest discussion. But I had to break it down because, I think my Hispanic, Latina / now that I've been doing some family history work, it's like I'm also Italian and from the Philippines. I don't know. Like, I have so many things. But apparently, like, that maybe my Italian and from Spain. So, like, maybe my Italian Spaniard side is very sassy, and that's why I had to break it down for him. So anyway, like that, those are just some of the things. And maybe my Filipino side really, really likes the warm weather and wish to go back to Florida. No, but for real. Okay, so then Elder Richard G. Scott used these verses to teach about the importance of doing the will of the Lord in order to be guided by him. He said, it is evident that he intends that we do our part, but what specifically are we to do? No one would expect to receive a result from physical law without obeying it. Spiritual law is the same. As much as we want help, we must expect to follow the spiritual law that controls that help. Spiritual law is not mysterious. We cannot count on help if we are immoral or otherwise deliberately disobedient unless we sincerely repent. For behold, the Lord hath said, I will not succor my people in the day of their transgression, but I will hedge up their ways, that they prosper not, and their doings shall be as a stumbling block before them. But if you will turn to the Lord with full purpose of heart, and put your trust in him, and serve him with all diligence of mind, he will deliver you out of bondage. End quote. Elder Richard G. Scott, October 1991 General Conference. I love that so much. Okay. So that is it for chapter 7. Let me do the read it, live it. Because remember, I told you there was a second half of the read it, live it for chapter 7. Oh, actually, there were 3. 3 different versions. Let's just go with, this one. Oh, you know what? Let's just do both. Let's do both. Okay, verse 18, it says, King Limhi encourages his people to be comforted just moments before he warns them of the effectual struggle still ahead. He issues a call to hope in the middle before the resolution has come. What is your great struggle? For me, the great struggle was, well, I've had several, but like the latest ones were infertility and infidelity. And those were not good ones to have, but I will tell you that they were very effectual in getting me to see who the adversary really is and understand that I am being attacked at all times and in all places and in all things, right? And that I need the Lord always. And I knew that I needed him before, but I think it's in a completely different way. Now it's more intentional the way that I fight. fight back, that is. Whereas before it was probably more so for checking boxes. So, okay. And then this one is for verse 33. 3 keys of deliverance are mentioned in this verse. They must be performed with full purpose of heart and all diligence of mind. It's a good thing you're not here in person. I think I'm spitting all over the place. Here we go. Turn to him, trust in him, serve him. Ooh, those are good. Turn to him, trust in him, serve him. And with that, I thank you for being here. Way to go, showing up for scripture study. And we'll see you tomorrow. Stay strong, warrior.